Hi guys, today I'm going to show you one of the easiest and cheapest soups that you can make, and it's one of my personal favorites. It's a white bean soup. In Polish we call it fasolowa. There are two ways to make it, on the stove or in the Instapot. Today I will be showing you the Instapot method, but the stove is exactly the same. First we're going to chop up some potatoes. I do not peel them, not just because I'm lazy, but also because I strongly believe that most of the goodness of the potato is in the skin. Next we're going to chop up some carrots. The more wonky the better. It's good for the planet and it's good for your purse if you choose wonky vegetables over the straight ones. However, if you can afford it, choose the organic ones. Next, I'm going to chop up some parsnip. This is actually the only vegetable that I will peel. Not because I'm discriminating against the parsnip, it's just something about the parsnip skin. It always looks a bit dirty to me. It's a personal preference whether you want to keep the skin on or not. Next, we're going to chop up the onion. It is customary to cry at this point because, you know, plants have feelings. And finally, we're going to slice up one celery stick. As you're chopping up your vegetables, try to keep the chunks uniform size so they all cook evenly. But don't be too precious about the size of it. You know, it's personal preference whether you want big chunks or small chunks. It will all taste the same. We will also need some garlic, but I will just crush it directly into the pot. And finally, we need some beans, otherwise it wouldn't be a bean soup. You can use dry beans, you just have to remember to pre-soak them overnight and then ideally cook them first separately in the Instapot for 4 to 6 minutes before using them in the soup. But if you're like me and you always forget to pre-soak them overnight, then you can use white beans out of a can. So next we're going to put everything into a pot. You can use any type of white beans. It could be the butter beans, which is my favorite, or the smaller cannellini beans, or even mixed type of beans, whatever you fancy. Depending on how many people you are going to cook for, you can use 1 can or more. This particular size I'm preparing today will feed about 4 to 6 people. So if you're feeding less, just adjust the number of vegetables used accordingly. And now this is where the real magic happens. We're going to add some herbs and spices. So first I'm going to pop in some bay leaves. I have no idea why, but everybody uses bay leaves in their soup, so why not? And now for the spices. This is the biggest expense that you need to make when you're first starting cooking vegan. You need to have a nice supply of herbs and spices. I usually buy my bulk. You can find a detailed description of all the ingredients that I have used for this soup in the description of this video, as well as a link to my kit where you can see all the equipment I use in my kitchen. So now I'm going to squeeze some garlic in. You can add as much as you want. I usually use about 3 cloves. And now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of parsley, marjoram and thyme, half a teaspoon of sweet paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of ground allspice, and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Just be careful, cayenne pepper is spicy, and 1 teaspoon of salt. You can reduce the salt if you wish to. And finally, we need 1 teaspoon of universal vegetable seasoning. Any special spices or equipment that I use in my kitchen is in the video description below. This seasoning is basically a broth in a powder format. And finally, we're going to add some water. We only need to add enough water to cover the vegetables. And do not exceed the half-point mark on the pot. Top tip, if you want your Instant Pot to come to pressure faster, just use the hot boiling water instead of cold water. So now we're gonna give it a quick mix, pop the lid on and cook it for 10 minutes at high pressure and leave it to naturally release, which will take about 10 minutes. And if you're making this soup on a traditional stove, then just pop it on a high heat, bring it to boil with the lid on. Then once it's boiling, reduce the heat and simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. So there you go. One final step before you serve it. Add a couple of tablespoons of nutritional yeast flakes, which gives it this lovely umami flavor. Literally, this is one of my favorite soups. It tastes amazing. It's hot, flavorsome, filling and warming, especially for the lovely cold winter nights that we're now having ahead of us. You can eat this soup straight away, but it's also amazing the following day. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And if you have made this, please let me know down below. I'd love to hear from you.